Hello and welcome to this subject talk for Audiology at Southampton. My name's Hannah, I'm one of the lecturers here at Southampton and I'm also the admissions tutor, and you'll also shortly hear from Daniel, who's the Director of Programmes for Audiology. So the things we want to cover today is firstly, what is audiology? Then I'll hand over to Daniel, who's going to talk about why study to be an audiologist and also why to choose to study at Southampton. And then I'll give you an overview of the admissions process and what to do next if you want to apply to study with us. So what is audiology? Well, audiologists work with people that have hearing and balance problems, and they're also involved with the diagnosis and the treatment of these issues. So by studying to be an audiologist, you'll learn a lot about ears and how our brains interpret sound and the psychology behind how we hear, but you'll also become experts in the things that can go wrong with your ears. You'll learn about the wide variety of technology that we can use to help people with hearing difficulties and to help them to improve access to sound and improve their quality of life. But most importantly, as an audiologist, you'll work with people every day, and that is what makes it such a rewarding job. So we're not just interested in people's ears and technology, but also we want to understand how those hearing difficulties are affecting people's lives so that we can provide the best support possible. So here at Southampton, we're passionate about improving quality of life for people with hearing and balance difficulties and about teaching you how to put patients at the centre of everything that we do. So I'm going to hand over to Daniel now, who'll give you some more details about studying with us.
Hello, my name's Daniel and I'm the Head of Audiology Education here at the University of Southampton. Before I go on, the prescription sunglasses are there because when I took my doggies out for a walk the other evening, I lost my normal ones. So Hannah's asked me to talk to you a little bit about why you might want to study to be an audiologist and a little bit about why you might want to do that here in Southampton. All audiologists and placement students in audiology have got stories of how what they've done has had a really big impact in helping people with hearing impairment. And here's one from one of our students on placement a few years ago, who after seeing a patient sent an email to one of my colleagues here. And she was saying, this is Georgina, that I had a patient today which for me really summed up why I love audiology. She told me that after having a hearing aids fitted, she's gone from existing to living again. So one of the reasons to be an audiologist is because you can have a really big impact on patients' lives. Another reason is that having the science degree plus the work experience that you get from the placement gives you really great career prospects, both in audiology but also beyond audiology. So here's some logos of some of the employers our graduates have gone on to work for. And I think you can split the career options into three groups. The first is clinical audiology. And most of our graduates go in to work as clinical audiologists, at least initially. And most of them will do that as an audiologist in the NHS. Some will do that initially or eventually as a hearing aid dispenser, working in the private sector, selling technology to help people's hearing. Some will stay in clinical audiology and specialise in some area of audiology such as the specialist aspects of adult rehabilitation, tinnitus, adults with special needs, or maybe paediatrics, or maybe balance, or maybe cochlear implants, or maybe research and development. And some will work in leadership roles, and some may even go on to become consultant audiologists and be managers of audiology services. Other students will go into a second category, which is beyond clinical audiology. So that might be research and development within audiology, possibly via a PhD. Some will go on to work as scientific advisors, such as for charities. And one of the charities that I've got here on my slides, Sense, is a charity that employed one of our graduates to work advising them to help people who have both hearing and vision problems. And we've had students go on to paid or voluntary work in overseas charities, or in fact even in clinical audiology in countries outside of the UK. And then the third group of students, or third group of career options, is beyond audiology. And this includes postgraduate entry to professions such as medicine, dentistry, public health, education. We've had students go into medical physics as well as others. And we've had students go into a variety of different health care or science or other professional careers, including one student in the last couple of years who went in to a career in human resources, believe it or not. So audiology offers a challenging and rewarding career. You get to transform lives, but also there's both a national and international shortage of audiologists, and that's likely to increase in the coming years given the current pandemic. So why study at the University of Southampton of all places? So firstly, our course here is not just designed to develop audiologists. Obviously it needs to do that. When you finish your degree, you need to be able to register as an audiologist and go work as an audiologist. But what we're really about is developing you for the future of your career and the future of the profession. We're interested in developing the future leaders of audiology. So we're not just about equipping you with the knowledge, skills and values that you need, behaviours that you need for your first job. We're interested in developing you and equipping you for your second job, your third job, and maybe to go on to become that leader or even manager of audiology services in the future. So of the many different reasons to study with us, I've picked on 3, and I'm going to give a few examples of each of those. So the first is that here in Southampton, we are unique in that we will provide you an immersive experience in audiology. So as you know, we currently offer the only program in the UK just on audiology. And we have been internationally leading in education research since 1965. People like me and my colleagues, we spent some time training in Southampton. I did my MSc in Southampton. So we've picked up, we've had the baton passed to us from our predecessors who set up the education in audiology here in Southampton. And we provide intensive training in audiology right from the start of year 1. You don't have to wait very long at all before getting stuck into audiology and both the practical aspects of audiology and the theoretical. Maybe you have to wait a couple of hours at the beginning of the first week, but then we get you started straight on it. Here is a screenshot of the complete university guide. This provides information from the league table in 2020, and this is the category of oral and oral sciences. That's to do with audiology and speech science. Now in Southampton we don't offer speech science. We just do audiology. And what you'll see here is the ranking. That's first in this whole category for us in Southampton. That must be just our audiology courses. And you'll see that this gave us an overall score of 100 out of 100 based on a number of different areas. And you'll see that this is up a little bit from a couple of years ago, but even a couple of years ago, you'll see that we were still in the top 3. And if you look back historically, we were almost always in the top 3, if not at the top. So hopefully this gives you some reassurance that we're pretty good. It's not just my opinion. Here's a picture of some of the skills that you'll learn in your first year. This illustrates the taking of an impression of the ear that's necessary for some hearing aids. So what you can see on the top left there is poking a small cotton or foam plug into the ear to help protect the eardrum, followed by a number of pictures of squeezing some blue goo, some sort of ear putty into the ear that's nice and soft to start with, that goes hard so that when we take it out in the bottom right, it forms the shape of the ear that we can use to produce part of the hearing aid if necessary. Okay, so what about the second reason? We offer an outstanding preparation for your future. One example of that is that there are multiple options for registration and lots of professional and careers preparation throughout the degree, starting again in the beginning of year 1. So our programme is approved or accredited by 4 different professional bodies. The one at the top there, the British Society of Hearing Audiologists, has approved our first year as a standalone sort of part of the programme, so that after the first year you could go and work as a hearing care assistant. That's the sort of first step into audiology. Now you might want to do that because you might want to get a job over the summer, and rather than working in a restaurant or in a bar, you decide you want to go and work in the NHS or the private sector as a hearing care assistant. And once you've registered with the British Society of Hearing Aid Audiologists, you can go and do that. Some of you might decide that you want to work in other parts of your year, and this also fits in with part-time placement, which is an option I'll tell you about later. So I believe at the minute that we are unique in we're the only course that's set up for that. And then the other 3 bodies, they have accredited the programme up to the 3rd year, so that once you finish your 3rd year you can register as effectively an audiologist to work in the NHS, or register as a hearing aid dispenser to work in the private sector, and so on. So that again should give you some reassurance that our programme has been thoroughly vetted and approved by external bodies. Here is some pictures that illustrate the point I wanted to make about robust preparation for your work as a professional and to enter the world of employment, even starting in the first year. The picture on the left is of Vicky, who's our employability officer. So she will work with you throughout the programme, again starting from the first semester of your first year, helping you to understand the professional landscape in audiology, which is complicated like all healthcare disciplines are. Also to help you prepare for interacting with employers. So in the first year, to start understanding yourself, the skills that you already have, the skills that you're developing, and how you can present those to employers. And the picture in the middle and on the right come from careers events and careers events that we hold at different points during the programme, where you can find out more from employers, they can sell themselves to you, and you can start making contacts and developing your network within audiology. So the third reason to study with us that I wanted to point out today is that there are many options within the programme to make the degree work for you. For instance, in year 2 you get to pick optional modules beyond audiology, and that might be because you're interested in the business side of audiology, so maybe you want to do a module on finance, or maybe you're interested in the neuroscience of audiology, the brain part, so you pick some neuroscience modules, or you're interested in the language part, so maybe you pick some modules to do with psychology and linguistics. Or maybe you're interested more in ethics, or maybe you're interested more in healthcare leadership management. Excuse me. This gives you the option to really spread your wings and develop into various different areas of audiology. Genetics could be another one that you pursue. So you can look across the university and you can pick a module that you're eligible for, that you've got the right prerequisites for, that you're interested in doing, and maybe do one of those. We also have part-time options, and I'll come back to that in a moment, but they are there in case you need to earn and learn. So maybe your personal circumstances are such where you want to be able to study in audiology, but also work part-time to help pay the bills. And that's available from the 2nd year onwards. The 1st year has to be taken full-time. And we have the options of studying at to either bachelor's level or continuing to study at master's level. So let me tell you a little bit more about these. So Magda is one of our previous master's students, MSci. The I in MSci, incidentally, stands for integrated. It means that the master's is integrated into your undergraduate programme. So she initially applied for the BSc because you can apply for one, you can apply for the other, and you can change between the two when you're a student here. You're not constrained. She transferred to the MSci, and her reasons for doing this were to gather a deeper knowledge of audiology and to accelerate her career progression, although it turned out it helped her in some other ways too. She decided to take some modules both inside and outside of audiology, and she graduated in 2016. Initially, she worked as a clinical audiologist in the NHS. Then she applied to be a research assistant at the implant service here in Southampton. And at about a similar sort of time, she also decided she wanted to do some part-time teaching, and so she applied to be a teaching fellow with us. And she did those two roles with us in Southampton for a few years, and then having the MSci helped her to develop herself and go and do her dream PhD in tinnitus in Nottingham, and that's what she's doing at the minute. So just before finishing, I wanted to say a few things about placement. I am the placement lead for audiology, as well as being the head of education more generally. So I'll look after you when you go on placements. And the way that placements work is as follows. If you're doing the programme full-time, in your first year, you will do 3 one-week taster placements that are scheduled and led by Vicky, so it really links really nicely with the employability stuff that you're doing, and they will be all in audiology. Then the main placement takes place after the end of year 2 and into the first half of year 3. And then you will do some specialist short placements, maybe for a day or half a day here and there throughout the second half of your third year, to help you develop the experience in the specialist areas of audiology such as paediatrics and balance. Balance is also known as vestibular. So if I used the word vestibular earlier mindlessly, that means the balance aspects of hearing and the ear. Okay, if you were interested in doing the placement part-time, the way that would work is that you would start again at the end of year 2, but it would stretch out over a longer period of time, up to 18 months. And then if need be, if you weren't able to do them during that longer placement, you would do your specialist half day or day placements in the second half of year 3 as before. Here's a quote from one of our previous students who did placement. This is from Claudia, and she says, "Everyone on placement was extremely friendly and had a positive attitude towards their job. I felt like I was always welcome to ask questions and was treated as an important member of the team." And that last bit's really important, because when you're on placement, at least for your main placement and also to a large extent for those taster placements in your first year, you're not just sitting there watching, you're involved. You're seeing patients, you're helping to deliver care, you're helping as a member of the team to do the best you can for your patients. So you will be treated as an important member of your team by the staff there because you're contributing to the delivery of the service.
Okay, so I just want to finish with giving some details about applying to study with us and the next steps that you might choose to take. So firstly, an overview of our academic entry requirements. So for the BSc, if you're doing A-levels, we look for an A and 2 Bs, which includes at least one science. So for example, biology, physics, maths, psychology. If you're doing a BTEC, then we would accept DDM in a relevant topic, for example, science or healthcare topics. And if you're doing access course, we'd also accept that if you're doing an access course in a relevant topic, so science, healthcare, medicine, for example. For the MSci, we currently accept applications from students that are doing A-levels and the entry requirements are AAB. But remember that if you are doing a BTEC or an access course and you're interested in the MSci, then you can transfer onto that programme when you're studying if you're doing well and you want to. Some advice for personal statements, the things that we look for in personal statements. So firstly, we need to see that you have a clear and strong motivation to study audiology, and also that you have a caring and compassionate approach and that you can reflect on your own personal experience or work experience to demonstrate that. We want to see that you have some personal values and attitudes that align with those of a healthcare professional, and also some evidence that you have a realistic insight into the role of an audiologist. So it isn't necessary that you have work experience in an audiology department specifically, but we do need to see that you have some relevant experience that you can draw on that allows you to demonstrate the above criteria. So the selection process is apply through UCAS, then we look at your predicted grades or possibly achieved grades and your personal statement, and shortlisted applicants are invited to attend a visit day. And in that visit day we run a group task where we look at your communication skills and your ability to work together in a team, and we give you details of what that task is before you come. And then after that visit day we give you some feedback on your application, and hopefully make you a conditional offer, which is still pending criminal record checks and health checks for this clinical degree. Okay, so thank you very much for listening to this presentation. If you've got questions, then please do send those through to us using the web app that there's details of through the virtual open day, and we really look forward to chatting with you through that application. Thank you very much.